For many of you, this is the chapter that you've been waiting and looking forward to. I would have to guess that at least 75% of all Excel questions I get are related to Excel's various lookup functions. In this chapter, I'll cover 4 specific functions: the VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, index, and match functions. But before we get into the functions themselves, I'm going to cover some terminology that I'll use and some of the more common notations used in Excel. To begin with, what exactly is a lookup anyways? In essence, a lookup is simply a search. Given a table of data, a lookup is the search for one data point that corresponds to another data point. Considering this list here, where I've listed the name of different animals and the number of animals at a variety of zoos, perhaps you wanted to have a way for someone to see how many of a certain animal were at a specific zoo, like on this worksheet here, where I'm currently asking about how many lions are in Zoo 5. You could just search for that within the table and do it all manually, but it sure would be nice to have a simple search option like on this sheet. We'll be able to do just that using a series of lookup functions to solve this problem, which we'll complete as the chapter progresses. To work with lookup functions, we'll want to learn a little more terminology, so I'm going to use the VLOOKUP function's help to jumpstart that discussion. Typing equals VLOOKUP into my formula bar, I will get a simple tooltip listing what values I need for the VLOOKUP to work. These values are labeled as lookup value, table array, column index number, and range lookup in brackets. Many of the functions we'll learn about, including the HLOOKUP and match functions, will use this same type of structure. The lookup value is the item that we are searching for. In this zoo example, we are looking up a given animal name such as lions or a zoo such as 5. The table array is simply going to be a two-dimensional array. I'll use the term array quite frequently referring to one-dimensional arrays, which is more simply thought of as a list of data elements. The range I have selected, for example, is a one-dimensional array. Our data example is a two-dimensional array. The array terminology may change between functions, but the concept is always quite similar, as it will be the list of items that we believe will contain our lookup value, such as this list of animals which contains lions at the very top. The column index number is special for the VLOOKUP function. However, similar index values will show up for the index, HLOOKUP, and offset functions. In this specific scenario, the value references the number of columns to the right to move from the looked up value in order to get a result. In other cases, the index will be an integer value that represents how many cells to move in any given direction. For our example on the Summary tab, we would want the lions from Zoo 5. You can count that Zoo 5 is 5 columns to the right of the animal names, which actually makes it the 6th column when indexing from the original position. The final parameter in brackets is technically optional. However, it is still important to understand as we will rarely want to exclude it as an input. The range lookup defines the type of search that gets done. Each of our lookup approaches will have different options here that will allow you to search specifically for an exact match, or, as can be useful with certain numerical searches, for a value similar to the one being searched for. In most cases, we'll enter the exact match value so that we either get an error if it doesn't exist in our list, or we'll get a perfect value match. With these concepts in hand, our next lesson will jump into what I consider the easiest to use group of lookup functions, the VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP functions.